Welcome to the Shakaama Live Show with your host, Shakaama. I want to talk about a recent TV show Judge Joe Brown had on his TV show. On the show, there was a 5 foot tall woman and a 6 foot, I want to say 7 black, everybody's black, right? 6'7" man, built like a linebacker. I don't even know if that's the correct term. Built like a football player. And if you break down the case, it was a case of she was abusing him. And here's the psychology of the case. The psychology was that he simply was really attracted to her, and she punched, hit, verbally abused him constantly. Now, as a man, and as a man of that size, he laughed it all off. But he did say that she would go from 0 to 100 over everything. So she felt perfectly at home to hit him and verbally abuse him. They were in court over insurance. She said he owed her insurance. They were no longer together. And that he had ripped off a screen, the screen door from the house. When they were together, of course, he paid money, but that doesn't matter to her. He owes her. So the decision of Joe Brown was that you're not going to get anything about and of course I believe he countersued for emotional abuse, right? Joe Brown wouldn't buy anything that she said because even in the video, she had video proof of him ripping off the screen door. Even in the video proof, she's beating him. She's verbally abusing him. In text message evidence, she's verbally abusing him. And yes, he is not saying anything. He's not doing anything. He said literally they could be sitting watching a TV show together, and he'll say something about the TV show, like that guy's wearing green, and she reaches over and just starts hitting him. Now, in a man 6'7", probably 300 pounds or something like that, it doesn't hurt. But this is a great example of the stuff that goes on, that men simply put up with spousal abuse to the point. My mother told me about a man that was abused, and a couple of neighbors told me about people that were abused. And one guy told me about a husband that was abused. And then one day he comes home and she's floating in the pool. He said he surmised that probably she was so ornery that she slipped, fell, hit her head, and then drowned, because that's just the personality that she had. Not that she took her life or anything, but she was just so mean that she accidentally killed herself. It goes on a lot, and the feminists make absolutely sure those numbers are never shown. But in the decision, Judge Joe Brown made sure that he did not award her anything. He said, "Ma'am, you need to seek help. You need to get some sort of anger management help, and you are not going to get anything out of this court with that sort of action, that sort of attitude." She's like, "I'm a woman and I can run around punching. And of course, he then turns to the man. He says, "Thank God you never ever touched her, because this would not be the court case that it is now with her being the culprit and you being the innocent person." And he said, the police came, and although he told the police that he was the victim, in fact the victim, they took him away, and he had to procure a lawyer, and that is the damages that he got out of her, was procuring the lawyer to get. And Judge Joe Brown said, of course, it is her fault that he had to procure a lawyer in the first place. And she said, well, he had been arrested before and he was on probation. And he said, yes, that might be all true, but it is your fault for having to have the police be called out, because it was the man and his family finally that rescued him out of this situation that called the police. And that's how it works. You know, who's the cause of the damages? And the damages was having to procure a lawyer at $800, you know, at small claim court. And of course, the answer is she's at fault. Now, thank God that we have people, judges of this sort, even if it's just we need to see this sort of stuff. Women need to see this sort of stuff, that they're not going to get away with murder and get away with beating up some 6'7" guy all the time. You know, and then of course that he's 6'7", 300 pounds, everybody's going to excuse it. Oh, well, he's not really hurt. Okay, when the guy's 5'4" and 100 pounds and she's the 300 pounder, then what? Oh, he's a man? There is no excuse for it at all. And in a court of law, it's supposed to be, under the law, everybody's really equal. And if you ball your fingers up into a fist and hit somebody with it, you should be put behind bars, period. I don't care if you're 5'2" and 60 pounds. You should go to jail. But of course, for that show, they used the cases as examples. And this should be an example. And he said, ma'am, you can't get away with this. You can't get away with this, and you can't go through life like this, hitting on men, physically, literally hitting on men. This goes on, and the feminist movement is trying their best to erase any of this sort of information. If you had a son and he was being abused by some woman, and you're the mother or the father, would you tolerate that? There's the question. Thank you for watching the Shakaama Live Show.